So the next step that I have is to, now we work off leads, okay? We don't have a crystal ball where we can say, oh, there's where he's at. Well, now we work off leads. Somebody knows something. Somebody else knows where he's at, where they dropped him off at, or did they drop him off?
After weeks of searching and coming up with very few leads, there may have just been a break in the search for Brian Laundrie. Brian has been missing since early September, and we recently found out that the last time he was actually seen by anyone was September 6th, when his sister last saw him, not September 1st as was first reported. There's a lot of suspicious energy coming from this, and this latest break could be bringing us one step closer to finding Brian and piecing together exactly what happened to his fiancée Gabby Petito. On the morning of Saturday, October 2nd, a 53-year-old hiker by the name of Dennis David reported an alleged sighting of a man fitting Brian Laundrie's description in North Carolina. Dennis told sources that he is currently hiking the Appalachian Trail and that while on his journey, a man in a vehicle pulled up next to him to ask for directions on Waterville Road near the border of North Carolina and Tennessee. Dennis told sources that after encountering the man in the vehicle, he had no doubt that this individual was in fact Brian Laundrie. Upon encountering the man, he told sources, quote, "There's no doubt in my mind that I spoke to Brian Laundrie. None whatsoever. Dog the Bounty Hunter's daughter sent me an audio file of Brian's voice, and the voice was the same I heard." End quote. Dennis also went on to describe his alleged encounter with Laundrie, telling sources that Brian told the man that he was lost and that he had gone to a fight with his girlfriend and that he was traveling to California to go see her. Dennis also described Brian as, quote, "worried and not making any sense." Dennis said that he tried to give the man directions, but apparently the man wanted to, quote, "avoid the main interstate and stick to back roads." End quote. The hiker was also able to describe the vehicle that Brian was allegedly driving during this encounter, telling sources that it was a light-colored pickup, and also adding that Brian was wearing a black bandana at the time of their encounter on the trail. David told sources that after his encounter, he notified authorities but has yet to hear back from the police or the FBI. Dennis's encounter isn't the first sighting of a man in the Appalachians fitting Brian Laundrie's description. Authorities in North Carolina have said that they've received a number of reports of alleged sightings of Brian on the Appalachian Trail, and Brian is known to have hiked this trail in the past. However, Wetuga County Police have made a statement saying that there's no reason to suspect that Brian is in the mountains in North Carolina. But whether or not this police department believes that Brian could be in the mountains, Dog the Bounty Hunter isn't taking any chances and has reportedly expanded his search to the Appalachian Trail. Because of the tips coming in about sightings of Brian on the trail, as well as the fact that both he and Gabby have hiked the same trail before, it seems like it's a viable lead to follow. Not too long ago, a woman claiming to have been one of Gabby's friends told sources that Brian, quote, lived in the Appalachians by himself for months, also going on to say, quote, "He's out in the wilderness, I promise you." End quote. This can't all be a coincidence. The amount of sightings in the area, combined with his past with this trail, leads many to believe that this is actually where Brian is hiding while trying to evade authorities. Though this could be the strongest lead that we've had so far, the biggest problem with it is the fact that the Appalachian Trail is the longest hiking-only footpath in the world, ranging from Maine to Georgia, and this trail travels across 14 states and spans nearly 2,200 miles, so that's a lot of area to try and cover. Authorities may be onto something by trying to search this trail, but because it's so vast, there's a good chance that they might come up with nothing and Brian could once again evade capture.
Hey, hey, ho, ho, the dirty laundry's got to go.
Also come out, re-explain it, brought documentation to show you, and then now have given you a verbal warning.
Because of their involvement in the Gabby Petito case, the Laundrie family has become public enemy number one. A lot of people have their suspicions about the family, and I can't say I blame them. There's a lot about the story here that has too much to do with the family and their involvement, and people want answers. That's why there have been protesters outside of the Laundrie family home. Though technically anyone has the right to protest whatever they want, in this case the police had to step in and break up the crowd. On Saturday, October 2nd, there were a group of people gathered outside of the Laundrie family home where a makeshift memorial for Gabby had been set up. But one person seemingly took things too far because at the memorial, they brought a megaphone and started talking to the Laundries directly, chanting things, demanding that they turn over their son to the police, demanding that they be truthful with the police, and stop hiding from the public. The Laundries have been quite secluded since the whole story broke, and especially after their son Brian became a wanted fugitive for his suspected involvement in Gabby's death. When police were called to the protest, no charges were laid, and the protesters basically quickly got a stern talking to by authorities. The call seemed to have come in because a man with a megaphone was violating a noise ordinance that had been placed in the area. From recorded police footage of the incident, the officers are heard telling the protester, quote, "You have to have a permit from the city in order to use a loudspeaker/PA system out here, especially when it pertains to a residential area. The first fine is $50, the next one is $150, and it goes on to $500 for any third or subsequent offense," unquote. No one knows for certain who called the police on the crowd of people, whether it was the Laundries themselves or if it was the neighbors, but I wouldn't really be surprised if it really was someone from the neighborhood, because according to sources, they're just as fed up with a huge crowd in the neighborhood. But you can't really blame people for wanting to seek answers from the family, especially considering their involvement. People have been pretty suspicious of the Laundries since the beginning. A lot of people think that they're hiding Brian and helping him escape from the authorities. First, people got suspicious of the family because they made contradicting statements about the last time that they saw Brian. At first, Brian's sister said that she had last seen him on September 1st, then she said that she actually saw him on September 6th, and now there's reports saying that the family had given Brian a phone sometime on September 4th. That phone has since been confiscated by the FBI as evidence. Even though the family says that they haven't been in contact with Brian and have no idea what's going on with him, the circumstantial evidence piling up against them seems to say otherwise. Many people think that they're hiding something, but until that information comes out or until Brian is found, that information will most likely remain unknown. Brian has been on the run for about a month now, and there have been many sightings of him, making people more and more frustrated about this case and the fact that no one has any leads on anything pertaining to Gabby's death or Brian's disappearance, which is probably just making the public even angrier with the Laundries, adding to the protests.
Gabby Petito's mother just recently stated that she is getting angry as Brian Laundrie, the last person to see her daughter alive, remains missing. As you know, Dog the Bounty Hunter has been on the hunt for Brian with a few leads as to where he may be, but so far he has yet to be found. Gabby Petito and her boyfriend Brian Laundrie were on a cross-country road trip throughout the US when they decided to stop at Bridger-Teton National Park in Wyoming back in September. Unfortunately, things took a dark turn when Miss Petito's body was found at a campground in the park on September 19th. Her body was discovered, and then the FBI ruled this as a homicide just 5 days after Brian had vanished from his parents' house in Northport, Florida. The FBI have been scouring various parts of Florida and other US states using tips that they've received on the possible whereabouts of Mr. Laundrie. He has not been named a suspect in Gabby's death, but there is a warrant for his arrest because he used Miss Petito's credit card. As time goes on, the Petitos and the Laundrie family's relationship continues to be strained as Gabby's parents beg them for more information about what happened to their daughter, or at the very least where Brian may be hiding. During a recent press conference, the lawyer for the Petito family condemned the Laundries for not cooperating with the investigation. Mr. Stafford went on to say, "The Laundries did not help us find Gabby. They are sure not going to help us find Brian." Using Twitter to voice her frustrations, Gabby's mother wrote, "Mama Bear is getting angry, turn yourself in. Joseph Petito agrees." And Gabby's mother had reported her missing on September 11th, which was 13 days after she had last heard from her. Both her parents and step-parents have actually come together and become more united in their efforts to find Gabby's killer, even getting new tattoos that they say were designed by Gabby. Jody Goldberg writes, "We're in this together. All four of Gabby's parents proudly show their tattoos. Let It Be is what Gabby had on her arm, and now they do too. We don't stop remembering Gabby and fighting for other people like her," said Jim Schmidt. Meanwhile, Dog the Bounty Hunter has been searching high and low for Brian in Florida, and even was knee-deep in some swampy water. Over the weekend, he posted a video of himself immersed in a swamp, actually somewhere in Florida. He arrived by boat with the assistance of some local tour guides, and also was seen heading into some thick brush just to search for Brian. So far, Dog has received a ton of tips on where Brian could be, but really the closest that he came was tracking Laundrie's movements to a campsite that he believes Brian may have stopped by, leading to him thinking that Laundrie may still be in that vicinity.